Hi everyone, welcome back to Bible in a Year. My name is Natalie and today we are on day 129. I'm so glad that you're here today and I hope you're doing great. We are going to be reading out of Numbers chapter 19, Isaiah chapter 14, Matthew chapter 7, but only verses 1 through 14, and then we'll close out the day with Psalm 79 verses 1 through 8. So let's get started with Numbers chapter 19. Here we go. Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "This is the statute of the law which Yahweh has commanded. Tell the children of Israel to bring you a red heifer without spot, in which is no defect, and which has never been yoked. You shall give her to Eleazar the priest, and he shall bring her outside of the camp, and one shall kill her before his face. Eleazar the priest shall take some of her blood with his finger, and sprinkle her blood toward the front of the tent of meeting 7 times. One shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin, and her meat, and her blood, with her dung shall he burn. The priest shall take cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet, and cast it into the middle of the burning of the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water, and afterward he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until the evening. He who burns her shall wash his clothes in water, and bathe his flesh in water, and shall be unclean until the evening. A man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and lay them up outside of the camp in a clean place, and it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for use in water for cleansing impurity. It is a sin offering. He who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. It shall be to the children of Israel and to the stranger who lives as a foreigner among them for a statute forever. He who touches the dead body of any man shall be unclean for 7 days. He shall purify himself with water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he doesn't purify himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. Whoever touches a dead person, the body of a man who has died, and doesn't purify himself, defiles Yahweh's tabernacle, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Because the water for impurity was not sprinkled on him, he shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet on him. This is the law when a man dies in a tent. Everyone who comes into the tent and everyone who is in the tent shall be unclean for 7 days. Every open vessel which has no covering bound on it is unclean. Whoever in the open field touches one who is slain with a sword or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean for 7 days. For the unclean they shall take of the ashes of the burning of the sin offering, and running water shall be poured on them in a vessel. A clean person shall take hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle it on the tent, on all the vessels, on the persons who were there, and on him who touched the bone, or the slain, or the dead, or the grave. The clean person shall sprinkle on the unclean on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. On the 7th day he shall purify him. He shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at evening. But the man who shall be unclean and shall not purify himself, that soul shall be cut off from among the assembly, because he has defiled the sanctuary of Yahweh. The water for impurity has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. It shall be a perpetual statute to them. He who sprinkles the water for impurity shall wash his clothes, and he who touches the water of impurity shall be unclean until evening. Whatever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and the soul that touches it shall be unclean until evening. Okay, moving into Isaiah chapter 14. For Yahweh will have compassion on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. The foreigner will join himself with them, and they will unite with the house of Jacob. The peoples will take them and bring them to their place. The house of Israel will possess them in Yahweh's land for servants and for handmaids. They will take as captives those whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. It will happen in the day that Yahweh will give you rest from your sorrow, from your trouble, and from the hard service in which you were made to serve, that you will take up this parable against the king of Babylon and say, how the oppressor has ceased. The golden city has ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of its rulers, who struck the peoples in the wrath with the continual stroke, who ruled the nations in anger with the persecution that no one restrained. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break out in song. Yes, the cypress trees rejoice with you, with the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are humbled, no lumberjack has come up against us. Sheol from beneath has moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the departed spirits for you, even all the rulers of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. They all will answer and ask you, have you also become as weak as we are? Have you become like us? Your pomp is brought down to Sheol with the sound of your stringed instruments. Maggots are spread out under you, and worms cover you. How you have fallen from heaven, shining one, son of the dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mountain of assembly in the far north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the depths of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you. They will ponder you, saying, is this the man who made the earth to tremble, who shook kingdoms, who made the world like a wilderness and overthrew its cities, who didn't release his prisoners to their home? All the kings of the nations sleep in glory, everyone in his own house. But you are cast away from your tomb like an abominable branch, clothed with the slain who are thrust through with the sword, who go down to the stones of the pit like a dead body trodden underfoot. You will not join them in burial because you have destroyed their land. You have destroyed your land. You have killed your people. The offspring of evildoers will not be named forever. Prepare for slaughter of his children because of the iniquity of their fathers, that they not rise up and possess the earth and fill the surface of the whole world with cities. I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of armies, and cut off from Babylon name and remnant, and son and son's son, says Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the porcupine and pools of water. I will sweep it with the broom of destruction, says Yahweh of armies. Yahweh of armies has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it happen, and as I have purposed, so it shall stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and tread him underfoot on my mountains. Then his yoke will leave them, and his burden leave their shoulders. This is the plan that is determined for the whole earth. This is the hand that is stretched out over all the nations. For Yahweh of armies has planned. and who can stop it? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? This burden was in the year that King Ahaz died. Don't rejoice, O Philistia, all of you, because of the rod that struck you is broken. For out of the serpent's root an adder will emerge, and his fruit will be a fiery flying serpent. The firstborn of the poor will eat, and the needy will lie down in safety. And I will kill your root with famine, and your remnant will be killed. Howl, gate, cry, city, you are melted away, Philistia, all of you, for smoke comes out of the north, and there is no straggler in his ranks. What will they answer, the messengers of the nation? That Yahweh has founded Zion, and in her the afflicted of his people will take refuge. Okay, Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 14. Those last two were a little heavy. All right, Jesus is speaking. Don't judge, so that you won't be judged. For with whatever judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with whatever measure you measure, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but you don't even consider the beam that is in your own eye? Or how will you tell your brother, let me remove that speck from your eye, and behold, the beam is in your own eye? You hypocrite! First, remove the beam out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to remove the speck out of your brother's eye. Don't give that which is holy to the dogs, neither throw your pearls before the pigs, lest perhaps they trample them under their feet, and turn and tear you into pieces. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. To him who knocks, it will be opened. Or who is there among you who, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks you for a fish, who will give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? Therefore, whatever you desire for men to do to you, you shall also do to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Enter in by a narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the way is broad that leads to destruction, and there are many who enter in by it. How narrow is the gate, and the way is restricted that leads to life. There are few who find it. I have things to say, but I won't. Psalm79. 1 through 8. Here we go. This is a psalm by Asaph. God, the nations have come into your inheritance. They have defiled your holy temple. They have laid Jerusalem in heaps. They have given the dead bodies of your servants to be food for the birds of the sky, the flesh of your saints to the animals of the earth. They have shed their blood like water around Jerusalem. There was no one to bury them. We have become a reproach to our neighbors, a scoffing and derision to those who are around us. How long, Yahweh? Will you be angry forever? Will your jealousy burn like fire? Pour out your wrath on the nations that don't know you, on the kingdoms that don't call on your name. For they have devoured Jacob and destroyed his homeland. Don't hold the iniquities of our forefathers against us. Let your tender mercies speedily meet us, for we are in desperate need. Wow. Not too shabby of a day. I am so glad that you're here to listen to these words. Matthew was a pretty big one today. There was a whole lot to unpack. Normally, I feel chatty and want to insert my opinions. But I feel like on this particular passage, I'd really like you to mull them over in your mind and in your heart and think about the words carefully in what Jesus was saying, because I think you will find your way. And it is certainly a good reminder for me. So thank you so much for stopping by today. I am so glad that you are here. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Come on back for tomorrow, which will be day 130. Wow. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.